Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode on SAP UI5 and Fury training. By far in the session, we have set up our development environment. We have now also understand the basics of HTML and HTML5. We talked about the difference, very important interview question, the difference between HTML and HTML5. And also we discussed few differences between UI5 and HTML5. As and when we will progress, we will see more differences between HTML5 and UI5. Let us go ahead and talk about today's important topic called CSS. So as we have seen by far that when we create an HTML5 based application, most of the time it's more like a static web page. The web page doesn't have any beautification, doesn't have any formatting. It is kind of raw content which is just kept on the web browser, and it is not at all structured, positioned, coloring is not there, no formatting is there. It looks very raw and crude. Yes, but modern websites are not looks like this. Modern website are really structured, the content is well placed, and it's fully flooded with lot of themes, designs, coloring, structuring, blocking, and all that stuff. How can we also achieve the same with the help of HTML? So guys, when HTML was introduced, a lot of tags were produced with HTML, a lot of tags were also introduced. So earlier, to provide styling for HTML, we used to use HTML tags like color, border, etc. So for example, if I write a simple HTML paragraph or a simple HTML heading whatsoever I wish to. So for example, if I just go ahead and write a simple paragraph with saying that I love India and it is my nation. So this is a simple paragraph if I would like to write. And if I would like to now display this content in a little bit more interactive and more formatted text. For example, I would like to highlight the love word in the red color. Yeah, this is my requirement. So how do we used to do? We used to put a paragraph and we have to simply just go ahead and add a color tag here, and with the color tag with the value equals to red, and now we just have to block this inside the color. Suppose if I would like to highlight India in the blue color, so I have to again put a color tag with a value equals to blue color, and then we have to just block this India into the color tag, ending tag with color tag. Now suppose is this particular India ka I want capital, this particular I, the first letter I want in the bold letters. So again I have to put a B tag for bolding, and then I have to just end it with B tag. Now can you imagine guys, in a simple small paragraph, or it's in this case it's a one sentence, imagine in a paragraph, if I would like to do a lot of styling, how big is the effort of putting these tags and how much error prone this value or this particular method will be. Can you imagine how big this will become? With a simple sentence it is becoming already so big, and in going forward if you want to do lots of style like border, coloring, formatting, positioning, then it becomes a nightmare for developer for maintenance point of view. So this was the biggest disadvantage of tag based styling. The tag based styling was laborious, error prone, and became a nightmare for developers. You can imagine in this simple sentence it is taking so much of tags, which is kind of creating a confusion. Lot of nesting is there, and this nesting is not good for your health. It is going to destroy the health of HTML. And this is the reason why a new star was born, and that star name was CSS, Cascading Style Sheet. I hope it's clear, everyone. So what is Cascading Style Sheet? It is used to style the HTML content and get rid of tag based styling. That is called CSS, cascading style sheet. Remember, HTML का life बहुत colorful नहीं था. It life was very very dull life. CSS has brought colors to HTML life. Okay, HTML was looking very bad. It was really not have any kind of structuring and coloring, and CSS has brought style. Just imagine a human who wear ordinary clothes, and another human who wear stylish goggle with a nice hat and a jacket and a coat and a leather jacket and a leather boots and nice tight Levi's jeans. How would you see both the difference? How would you perceive both the humans when you perceive or see them first time? What will be your first impression between these two people? You will definitely like more the person who is wearing stylish clothings. Definitely that will be your initial choice, that you will feel like, okay, this person should ideally come next to me in the flight. I should get a seat next to that person, right? So this is the feel what you get when you look at something. So HTML had no feel. It's merely like just trying to create a static web content, but styling was available with the help of CSS, which has really brought style to HTML in a larger scale. Before that, it was very tough to apply style and HTML content. It was very very difficult. And now, what are all the ways by which we can apply style to style using CSS? What are the ways you apply CSS? The first technique is called inline CSS. The second technique is called internal CSS. And third is called external CSS. Wow, superb. Interview question. The types of ways by which we can apply CSS on an HTML content. There are three ways we can apply. One is inline CSS, second is internal CSS, and third is external CSS. Now coming to the question, what is the syntax for each one of them? What is the method we use to apply that style? And what is the benefit and disadvantage, pros and cons of each of our approach? So let's discuss first the inline CSS. The inline CSS, as the name suggests, will be applied at individual HTML element level. Okay, it will be applied at individual HTML element level. That's what inline style will do. Let me just show you how can that be achieved. So we have to write, usually this is our syntax for HTML tag name, then we have the content inside, and then we have ending of HTML tag, like this is our syntax for basic HTML. And how do you now inject a style, which is an inline style? Very easy. You just have to put a style property equals to, and then inside this you have to put all your styles, all the styles which you would like to apply on HTML element, like color property, color value. Then you may have semicolon. Of course you have to have a semicolon by separating the next property. So each property will be separated by semicolon. The property name and the value will be separated by colon. So there is a difference between symbols will break you or make you. Remember the funda fox, symbols will break you or make you. Here it's a column which separates the value and property, and each property is separated by semicolon. Very important. Now let's say I want to apply a border property. Okay, so all that we can see it here like this. We can apply the border property. Let's say 1 pixel solid black border I want. So that's what we can give. Now the question tickles in your mind, Anubhav, how do I know what is the name of the property and what is the possible value which I can supply to the property, right? This is one question. How do you know, Anubhav? Anubhav don't know. Anubhav don't know. What Anubhav does? Anubhav goes to W3C schools and check it out. So W3C schools is the super place to find out what's going on. So this is W3C, and you see here CSS chapter. I go to CSS chapter and I start learning from here. You can see everything which I learned about these basic techniques is all from W3C schools. And here I will get the list of all the properties which are supported by CSS: background, border, margin, padding, height, box, outline, text, fonts, icons, links, list, table, display, max width, position, overflow, float, inline block, combination, alignment, 3D graphics, 3D 2D charts. Everything you can learn from here and do it. Anyways, whatever I am teaching is more than sufficient. You don't need to really get into it. If you wish to, you can. Okay, this is for your documentation purpose. Somebody really interested to go deep and want to see every single thing, want to understand everything, want to refer to some documentation, you can go to this. Otherwise, not necessary. Whatever I am teaching, if you practice that much, it is more than sufficient, with an exercise which I usually give to you. Okay, so practice whatever I'm teaching every day, plus on top do the exercise which I give you. That is sufficient enough to proceed. So that's about the inline style. Let's apply this style. You can apply this at any element level. So let me just go and show you. So let's once again go face by face, and I just go in here and maybe just create another HTML file, guys. So I'm just going to create another HTML file because the current one is looks very clumsy. So I'm just creating another HTML file, name it as my style.html, and I've added this over here. And now I'm going to also tell the system, hey, whenever I click on this play button, don't run index.html, please run my style.html. So right click on the project folder, go to run, and choose here run configuration. And now the run configuration opens up in front of us, and now we just choose run index.html run configuration, and you can see here the file which is selected is index.html. We got to switch to this, to my style.html, to tell the system, hey, I would like to learn or run my style.html. I don't want to run index.html. I would rather write to learn my style.html file. Please do run that for me. Click on OK, and the configuration is saved. And next time when you click on play button, it's going to run your my style.html. So now let's go ahead and start putting some content inside my style.html. And once again, as usual, it's an HTML file. So doc type declaration HTML, and I'm just going to put here HTML, and we have a header of HTML, and we have a body of HTML, and as usual we are going to get the content. So it's now, since you are comfortable with these things, I'm going to bring those content copy paste directly. So metadata you can ignore if you wish to right now for simplicity. I'm just ignoring it. I'm just putting this one. That's enough for me to proceed. And then we will go and just get these texts which we had created, heading for HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So those three texts I am just going to get as part of my page. So let me just do that. So what is HTML, CSS, and JS? So I'm just going to copy paste this. Of course, since you're already comfortable with it, I'm copy pasting the code. You can copy paste the code if you are already comfortable, yeah, with the topic. So we have actually three sections: one explaining what is HTML, what is CSS, and what is JS. I'm going to save this and let me execute now this one, and you will see it has executed my another file this time, and which has only these three contents at the top. Clear, everyone? So that's a very simple HTML page which we created with three headings and paragraphs. And now we are going to apply the first example of inline style. So anyone, if I want to change something for the entire page, what do you think, which HTML tag element representing the whole page? I'm saying whole page. Which HTML tag is representing the whole page? Perfect answer. Shriveni has got it right. It's the body of HTML. This is what is representing the content of the entire page. This is the tag which is responsible for bringing the body on display to the user. Clear, everyone? That's the tag. So now I want to change the background color for the entire page. Okay. Yeah, so I'll say, hey, can you please change the background color? So let's apply an inline style. So I just put a style here, and that's my syntax for putting an inline style tag, sorry, style property. And now here inside this we are going to write all the things. So you can see this is the syntax style property inline, and then you can keep putting your property. So let's say I'll put color property, and I'll say please make it red color. Save this, let's refresh. You see entire page content turned into red color. And I want to also change the background color to yellow. So let's put semicolon now and put background to yellow. Save this, refresh, and voila. Can you see, guys, how powerful the CSS is? Just put the property name and property value, and it does apply that on the entire element, which is the body element in this case. So entire page is accordingly changed. So let me just make it aqua, and maybe I just remove the color right now. And I'm gonna save this, and you can see the background color is changed to aqua color with the text as normal. They're in original colors, which is black by default. That's how they are displayed now. So now that's about inline style. Now suppose my requirement, my manager comes to me and say, Anubhav, can you make all these titles? Can you see these titles? What is HTML, what is CSS, what is GS? Please make this title color to blue color. Okay, so all the titles which we have, which is nothing but, can anybody tell me which tag these titles are represented? So these three elements which you see here, which tag they are represented on our HTML? If somebody who is practicing, they will easily tell. Somebody who is not practicing since first day, they will not be able to tell. Slowly and steadily you will die, you will lose the control on the course. But those who are practicing every day, writing the example which I'm showing you, and also trying the exercises which I'm giving you, they will easily be able to tell. And yes, you're right, majority of you, this is the H3 tag here, which is representing those content on the right hand side. Okay, that's what is happening. So now what we will do, we will just go ahead and put here H3, and I'll just put a style. Please add me please add me a color as blue color. And now I'm going to write the same style to this element, of course, because if I just refresh, you will see only the first one turns to blue color. My manager want all these titles together to turn to blue color. So let's write also the style here, and I'll say color to blue color. And now once again I come here and I put a style code, and I'll say color to blue color. That's what I want to do. Save this. Let's come back and refresh the page, and now you see all three turned into blue color. Yeah, all three turn into blue color, all three style turn into blue color. Now my question to all of you, tomorrow my manager comes and asks me, hey, can you please change it into the red color? How many places I have to make the change? How many places I have to make the change to turn now into the red color? Perfect answer. You have to change 1, 2 and 3 place. Are you getting, guys, the problem with inline style? What is the disadvantage of inline style? If there is a consistent styling which is needs to be provided for similar type of elements, the inline style is kind of a very bad approach. It leads to high maintenance. It leads to really high maintenance. If I want to maintain a different color here, it leads to a heavy maintenance. Everywhere I have to write the same code and also change the same code. Clear, everyone? That's a disadvantage of inline style, right? So how do we solve this? So that's where the internal style was introduced. Internal CSS was introduced. So the disadvantage, the pros is, cons is actually, this type of style is suitable when an element is unique on an entire page, which means उसके अलावा उसके जैसा और कोई नहीं है. Nobody else, no other element is like that element. like body element. Body element, there is always one body element in a page, right? This is unique. This has no alternate. This will be there and it is only one, right? So for that, inline style is more suitable. This is an interview question. What kind of elements inline style is suitable? You would say the elements which are unique on the entire page. It is okay to apply. It is okay to apply inline style because there we don't need reuse. But if there are similar type of elements, I would say family, they're part of one family, then in that case, inline style leads to heavy maintenance. It is not difficult, but it becomes like the old way of doing things where you were doing at element level everything. You see here you are doing it element level everything. So similarly now it becomes a challenge for you to do stuff at element level, which becomes or leads to heavy maintenance. So what is the solution? Any guesses? Solution is already on your PPT. Solution is already on the PPT, which I am showing you here. I have already written. Yes, perfect answer. Jump to internal CSS. What is internal CSS? How it works? Let's go and check it out quickly. How the internal CSS works. And we will also apply that in our use case now, which we have it here. So that's internal CSS. How the internal CSS works. So what is internal CSS? First of all, internal CSS is a CSS when you apply CSS at page level. This CSS will be applied, or I would say will be written at page level. It will target a specific set of elements on the page which are having same tag name or classification. Okay, which is nothing but, if you remember the class property which I told you in HTML chapter, the class property is now going to be helpful for here for you to be able to do the stuff, and or we can use based on unique ID. This is the second part. So first is this CSS can be written at the page level. Then this it will target a specific set of element or elements on the page which are sharing the same tag name or classification. That's another benefit of using it. The third is the syntax. What is the syntax to do that? The syntax is very simple. And also before that, let's also write, we need to sorry, put the style tag in the typically in the header of HTML page, inside which we will write style code. Mhm. So what is the syntax to write a style for internal CSS? Syntax. So what you got to do is you got to put a style tag in the header of HTML, and inside that you got to write your code to apply the style. So how would you do that is you will come to the header part, and now you put a style tag, and you are writing that on the top of the page, targeting the element and elements which are there inside. Okay, here you got to write that code centrally. You got to write at page level. You don't have to write at each element level. You see, this is the element level styling. Nahi chahiye. Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye. I will say bye bye to this code. Bye bye. No, you are really laborious. You're really high maintenance code. I don't want you. Sorry, sorry. Bye bye. I say bye bye to everything. And now we got to write that something over here to apply the style. So now anyone, what is that I'm targeting? Can you tell what is that I'm targeting from here? Yes, very good answer. We are all targeting the H3 tags. Whatever H3 tags are there on the page, somewhere we are targeting those H3 tags which are there on the page, correct? So we have to now write a style code over here targeting that element or elements. So let's do that. I'm going to come back and now I'll say syntax. What is syntax, please? It's called selector, curly braces, curly braces, property name, colon, property value, semicolon, property name, colon, property value, semicolon, and so on, like this. Keep specifying a property and property value which you were earlier giving at the line level, within the inline, and now those will come centrally, but the change comes here is selector. What is selector? Selector is nothing but your nuclear reactor. Just like a nuclear reactor supplies the power to all the households, transformers, and power stations, this is your nuclear reactor from where energy is getting released. So in this reactor, you have to tell kya dalu iske andar. You have to say which are all the elements I am targeting. So selector is nothing but element or elements which you wish to target, which I would like to target. So in this case, if you want to target based on tag name or based on class name or a particular element based on its ID. So whenever you are targeting these things, at that point of time, you got to put your right selector. So if you are targeting tag name, so h3 is a tag, you just have to specify h3. Now suppose if I give a class name, which I will specify in a minute with the class property, I will have to now give here the dot symbol and the class name. Always remember the difference between tag name and class name. If you do not put a dot before, system assume that whatever you mentioned is a tag. If you put a dot before, system assume that whatever is coming next is actually a class name. So sometime you may have a element with a class name called h3. How do you tell the system that I want to apply style on elements which has class name as h3, not the tag name as h3, right? So with the dot you specify. This dot is very important. This dot indicates that I would like to target element with a class name. So this is a kind of symbol which you will put. And now what it does, it doesn't hamper any element with h3 tag, but rather it will go and change the elements which are having h3 as a class name. Okay, so that's very important, guys. You need to keep it in mind. Dot class name. And what about ID? What is the selector for ID? It's hashtag. Okay, so hashtag ID of the element. That's what you got to put. Hashtag ID. That indicates that I would like to apply element which has ID as something ID, some ID which you will give, and hashtag indicating that this whatever I'm mentioning here is an ID, not a tag name, not a class name. I hope it made it clear. Let's go into the system and see how this can be achieved. So right now, first we'll go with H3. I will also do one thing. I will just go back to our HTML page, and I'm also going to put here below quickly something called H3 personal details, and I'll just put a label as name, input field, put again a label, last name, input field. So let's say I just put some simple fields. Let's refresh quickly. So you will see this is coming, which is nice. And I've removed the style right now from each H3. So what I'll do is I'll go in the top, and now I'll say in my style, what is my selector? Anybody? What is my selector? Which are all the elements I would like to target? My manager told me to target these elements, right? So my selector in this case, I will use H3. So let me use H3, and I put curly braces, and now I'll put here color is equals to red. So property name colon property value semicolon. Save this. Let's come back, refresh. Boom, there you go. You can see the color he's been changed to red color. And now my manager comes and say, Arey, Anubhav, sorry. Can you please revert it back to blue color? Anyone, how many places we have to make the change? Anyone, how many places now we have to make the change to turn all my headings to blue color? Perfect answer. Do you agree that this way of styling reduce the maintenance effort? Do you all understood the concept of internal style here in this case, and how it reduces the maintenance effort? Earlier you have to make changes at three places, and now you just have to make the change only at one place. Developers efficiency increases because style code is now separated also from the tags. It's completely separated from the tags. Okay, it's no more linked to the tag anymore, so you don't have an inline tag maintenance. This css code is completely different, separated out. So ये style को control कर रहा है, that is its responsibility. The html doing its own job, this is changing its responsibility. Okay, now this is a curly braces, this is not a bracket. Okay, there is no bracket which we use here, we use curly braces. Symbols will break you or make you, my funda fox. Symbols will break you. Sometime you will go and do mistake, you will write parenthesis यहाँ पे, पंगे डल जाएंगे वीरे, पंगे हो जाएंगे. ओके, डोंट डू दैट. पंजाबी में भी से पंगे डल जाएंगे. पंगे मीन्स प्रॉब्लम, इट विल क्रिएट अ प्रॉब्लम फॉर यू, बी केयरफुल. Don't put parenthesis, it has to be curly braces. Symbols will break you or make you, be careful. Symbols will break you or make you. It has to be colon, it has to be here semicolon. Now let me also give a border property, and I'll say 1 pixel solid black, and refresh, and now you see there is a 1 pixel solid black color border which is coming around. You can see this is made up of three different values. The first value is the size of the border. If I make it 10 pixel, you will see its density will increase to 10 pixel. If I make it dashed border, you will see it will become a dashed border. You can also change it to dotted border, it becomes a dotted border. And now if you want to change it to color as red color border, you can change the third property, and there you go. You can see it looks like Christmas lights. So that's how they design with the css Christmas lights on websites. Sometimes you see some text or some images surrounded with these dot bubbles, so with it looks like, gives you a feel like Christmas lights. So this is how they do it. Don't do any magic, they just use css. Css brought color to the life of an html. HTML life was colorless, it was loveless. CSS has got the colors to the life of an HTML. In a minute, you will see a lot of more advantage. But guys, there is a problem here in this example which we took. My manager asked me to change only the text and the style only and only for these three. Can you tell me what has happened here? What has happened here? What side effect this style has got now? What side effect it has got? What side effect? Anyone? What do you think? What is the side effect? It also applied it to personal details. It also applied the style to personal details which nobody wanted to change, which my manager did not ask me to change. My manager only asked to change these three first h3 tags, but it has also affected my personal detail. Kaise bachaएं? How do we safeguard ourselves now to avoid applying the style on that h3? How do we safeguard? Absolutely right answer. We got to use now classification. We have to mark who is a family member and who is out of family. This is not a family. These three are family. Right? Are you understanding, guys? The money will only be distributed to family member when father dies. Only to the siblings, or sorry, only to the childrens who are direct children, who are direct inheritance of that father. That's where the money will be, or the property will be given. It will not be given to every rishtedar, fufoji, tayaji, chaiji. It won't go everywhere, it will only go to the direct children's of that father who has died, only that those children's it will go, right? So that is what happens. We have to now say these three are family members. Okay, these three are really family members. This is not a family member. Please don't do anything on this guy. This is not a family. Why are you giving all the benefit to this guy? He's not a family. So how do you do that? You have to now give the class. That's what I wanted to tell you guys, the benefit of using class. And now you can give classification. I can say this is my family, let's say box title. You can give any name. You can give Spider-Man, doesn't matter. So why I do these names is because so that I can make you understand that it's not a keyword. Class is a keyword. Spider-Man is not a keyword. It's your choice what you can give. And now I just put the class name is Spider-Man. And watch out what you got to do now to say. Now you see, I didn't give a family responsibility to this guy. I didn't make this as a Spider-Man. What does it mean? Now these three can receive a specialized styling excluding the personal details. So what is the symbol do you use to indicate that it's a class name in the selector? Perfect answer. Ajit has got the first answer. Dot class name. What is my class name here? Anybody? What is my class name? What is my class name? If I just put Spider-Man, it won't work. Many of you will try this. What is system will think if I put Spider-Man here? Anyone? What do you think if I put Spider-Man here? System will think that Spider-Man is a tag and it won't do anything. You see? It thinks like Spider-Man is a tag. Is Spider-Man a tag? No, Spider-Man is a class name. What symbol do you use? You put a dot before to indicate, hey, I am entering, whatever I am entering is a class name, boss. Please don't consider this as a tag name. Please consider Spider-Man is my tag. Save this, refresh. Boom, there you go. Personal detail is now isolated out of family. Only family receives the money. Only family receives the style. It gets all the benefits of the style which I'm putting. This is the way we apply style. I hope now today's class you got a clear idea of why class name is required. I hope this makes it very clear what classification means, what class name means, and how it affects the style, how it helps indeed to bring the elements with a similar classification and apply the style. Let's make it a little better, just making it 1 pixel solid black color border again. Save this up, refresh, and now you see it looks beautiful. Let's also apply a style for the paragraph element. So I'm just going to simply do it at paragraph element, and I'll say, hey, I would like also 1 pixel solid black color border around you, and refresh, and now see how it looks. So now guys, I want to make it look like maybe some small boxes. So how do we do that? We can just reduce the width and height. So let me just reduce the width of this as, let's say, 100 pixels. And now this one also I will just change the width to look like 100 pixels, and I just refresh, and I see it looks like nice cute boxes. So maybe just make it 150 each. That is also better, and just refresh, and now see how do they look. These look like, small tiny boxes, guys. Are you clear how did we are influencing the just by sitting on the top in the style element? Inline is internal style I'm applying, and it's affecting all the respective elements on the page. Now guys, watch out here. What I want to do, I want to make it look each of this element as a box, as a single box. So anyone, what is the element in HTML which can make it look like a box? What is an HTML to group the similar type of element? Perfect, Shriveni has got the right answer. It's the division tag. It's the division tag which make it look like a box, guys. So that's why now I'm going to surround these elements with boxes. So watch out, how do I boxerize my application? So I created a main box. I give a class name for this box as maybe just call as box. Whatsoever you like, you can give it. And now this box has two child elements. This element I'll give a class name as box title. And then I will give another element with the class name as box content. and now inside this each of the box I'm gonna place my content. So like this, how many boxes we want? Anyone? How many boxes we want now? Anybody? We want three boxes total. So one, two more we want. So one and two we add. And do you know what? Now what I'm gonna do next? Can you guess what I will be doing next? Anybody? Can you guess what I will be doing next? I'm gonna bring the title and the content inside these boxes. Okay. So categorize and grouperize your content. So we are grouping now properly. So this first H3 comes here, then comes is your paragraph, this paragraph. So let's bring it on this paragraph. Just go there, put it over here, and next I will just bring this one. Sorry, and just bring it over here. Next is this one. Cut it and bring it over here. Next, let's cut it and bring it over here. Next, let's cut it and bring it over here. So basically we are now adjusting our boxes properly, so to give in a more better way of styling. And now guys, we should not, it's not a good practice to put class name at h3 level. This is also industry best practice violation. We should only use html core tags just for its own html functionality. We should not merge the class name. It's not a good practice. So let's remove this styling from here. So anywhere wherever we have now class name which is overwriting or merging or interlacing with the core html tag like h3 tag, we are removing it. And now you have already surrounded with the div with the class name. Yeah, so let's bring it on. The box title is now the class name to apply style. No more the Spider-Man. Save this, refresh, and you see it's working here. And similarly for paragraph, all the paragraph comes under the box content. So let's bring it also here, the box content. So dot box content, and refresh. Now you can see they look alike boxes. See guys how beautiful they look. They look alike simple boxes. You see this is our first box, this is our second box, this is our third box. Are you guys clear how div tag helped you to make it look even more better and give you a feel like boxes? What happened when I introduced earlier, there were a lot of unnecessary spacing which was kind of hampering us, and now you see it looks like box. Okay. Now, if you would like to see the DOM structure, you can see the DOM structure. It has total three boxes indeed, and each box inside has a box title and box content. Yeah, each box has box title, box content. You see, it's a pretty well formed, uniform structure which we had made here. A very uniform structure. They look alike boxes, and each box then has its own, in the box title, its own h3 tag, the heading tags, and then each box in the content has its paragraph tag. I hope it's clear, the DOM structure, the tree structure of HTML accordingly, the way we have designed it. Then with that, you see this kind of look and feel you have we have achieved. So always div comes with a class name. This is a standard industry practice. We will surround an element with div with a class name so that your style code is separated from your actual HTML element. That's the whole idea. This is the best industry practice. And now see guys, one benefit we can see another css property which will help you. Can you see there is a lot of space here on my page? Lot of space is left over on the left hand side, so of the element, which means I can now move this element over here, right? I can properly utilize my screen and I can place this box here, right? Don't you think this is possible? We can bring the element over here, we can place the element over here, we can really adjust and utilize the width of the screen, right? So for that we have to use a property, but also try to understand, it's called float property. Now the direction of the float is what do you think, which side of the screen this element will be placed? Is this screen element is placed on the left hand side or right hand side? See, right hand side is this is right hand side. and this where we want to place. What, which side is this? What do you think? When the screen space is left over, which side I am want to place my this entire element? Which is side I want to place this entire element? Is it left hand side or right hand side? Perfect answer, it is left hand side. So you see there is a left hand side space. I don't want to place it on extreme right side, I want to place it on the left side. If there is a screen space after the first element ended, I want to start my next element from the left hand side of the page. I will use now another property called float property. So let's do that. So now in the box title and box content, both places I'll put a float property, and I'll put it as, please put them on the left hand side. I'm just putting it at both element level, the float property. Save this and let's refresh. And now you see it's kind of trying to adjust those boxes together. You see it is already aligned it, and wherever it's finding a screen space, it's bringing it. But that's what I did not want it. I wanted the whole box together, right? Are you getting it, guys? Is this what we wanted? No, we did not wanted this. We wanted the whole box to come aligned. So like this one HTML box is this one. I want this whole box to come here. Okay. I want this whole box to come here. I don't want only this part to come here or only this part to come here. I don't wanted that. That was not needed. I want the whole box as a complete unit to be placed in parallel to the another unit. So can you tell me which is the selector which is representing the whole unit? The whole box is represented with which selector? Anybody? Can you tell me? Selector I am asking. Yes, you're right. The class name is box. What is the selector becomes? Yes, dot box becomes the selector. Perfect answer. Dot class name, dot box becomes the selector. I put dot box, and now I'll apply the float on the entire box. Are you getting the benefit of grouping? Are you getting the benefit of grouping? If I wouldn't have grouped both these child elements inside the parent box, I wouldn't have been able to achieve this. Since I grouped, packaged the whole three things inside boxes, I can now do this. Let's refresh and voila. Can you see? On my screen it has now brought the whole box over here. Whole css box is come here, but oops, there is a problem. It has also got these unnecessary, these personal details. They are encroaching my area without inviting. I did not invited these gentlemen. They are still came into my area and kind of destroying my UI look and feel. So we need to avoid that. How do we avoid that? Very easy. We can kill the floating. So floating, once it's applied, it affects all the consecutive elements. So after the box element is found, all the HTML elements at the bottom, the bottom of the HTML page, it applies the float. We want to kill the float after the boxes are complete. So I will say, hey, once my boxes are complete, please don't apply any further floating. So I will come here and put a dummy div tag, and I will say here style equals to clear left. Yeah. So I will say, hey, please clear the left side area. I don't want any encroachment further on my boxes. For boxes, I applied a float property. Don't float anymore anything after this div. Okay, please don't do that. So that's what I have to put. Clear the float, kill the floating, and let's refresh. And voila! Now you see that personal detail is not encroaching in your area. Okay, it's not encroaching, it's not entering inside your area which you wanted your playground. It's not doing it. Now it also doesn't look so nice because you see here the height of this gentleman is not same as height of this gentleman. We want to make it consistent height. Let's go to the box content area style. ये content का height है, and now we can give a height for our content. Let's put a height for the content as maybe 200 pixels. Let's see if it comes looks like consistent. Too much ho gaya. Let's make it 150 pixels, and now just save this up, and now it looks better. Can you see, guys? All three boxes are having consistent height. And now, guys, watch out, an interesting concept. Can you see when I maximize my screen width what happened? Can you see all three boxes were properly aligned? You see, when I maximize my screen width, it has got all three boxes all in the same line. But now watch out, when I start reducing the width of the screen, watch out what happens. Watch out guys, if I reduce the width of the screen, watch out what happens. Can you see it has moved my last box at the down? If I again squeeze further, it moves my another box also down automatically. Do you get this? What is happening? It's automatically adjusting the content according to the width of the screen. Are you getting this guys, how powerful this concept is? Can you tell me in real world, real life, where you have this different screen widths? In real life, where you have different screen widths? Perfect answer. We have mobile, tablet, projector, and TV, and also your computer. Everywhere we have different screen widths. So anyone a web design which adapt itself as per the width of the screen automatically, what is that web design called? Funda Fox of class number 1. Perfect answer. It's called responsive web design. So next time if somebody asks you what is responsive web design, I am sure you will be able to tell with this example. This example you can code and demonstrate how a responsive web design looks like. It has nothing to do with performance. Many time I take interview, the student try to make me fool, but उनका खुद का fool बन रहा है. Interviewer, you can't make fool to interviewer guys. He's asking a question which he already knows the answer. You're trying to think, you're trying to become an over smart, giving an answer which you don't know with confidence. It will not help you. You have to have the right knowledge. Responsive web design, we discussed also in the demo, and now we are seeing here responsive web design. A web design adapts itself as per the width of the screen is called responsive web design. I hope it's clear. This is achieved with the help of applying the div, applying style on div with class names at page level with a special property called float. Yeah, I hope it's clear what is a responsive web design. In this case, it's also adapting itself automatically. There is another issue which we see here. Right now you see these elements which we created, they are almost touching each other. They are colliding actually. Okay, they are colliding with each other. How can we solve this? We should avoid this collision. दो पहाड़ आपस में टकरा रहे हैं, we should avoid this collision because we don't want to destroy the civilizations. Okay, so now we have to somehow do something to avoid this collision between the elements. So for that, we need to understand the css box model. What is css box model? 100% interview question. If interviewer is coming to css chapter for interview, अगर इस पे आएगा तो पक्का पूछेगा what is css box model. What is css box model? Css box model decides the positioning and positioning width or respective positioning of coinciding elements. So it decides the respective positioning and the positioning of an element and coinciding elements which are nearby each other. So of course in layman terms you can say elements which are nearby each other and element width itself, including its content, border, and placing on page. how much space an element will take on the page, and what is the respective positioning and width of consecutive elements on the page. Watch out, watch out. Let's create a simple HTML element here. Let's say this is my HTML element. I'm just gonna quickly do an outline and just change the tick, 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 come here. Just want to change a little bit of settings, so I'm just going to say no fill, sorry, solid line with increase density for the line. Let me increase it a little bit. So that's the border of the element which I'm trying to explain here. And now I just go to the fill part and I say no fill. So that's a typical HTML element. Watch out, this is your HTML element. So basically inside this you have this as your HTML element. And now guys, this is the border of HTML element which I've written here. This is the border of HTML element which I just showed you in a minute back. The border property, it can have any density whatever you like. Kitna width aapko dena hai, what you can decide. How much width you want to give to the border, that you can decide. That's your border property. Now watch out, I have also another element next to it. That's possible, right? Which is also right now happening. You have another element which is just next to it. You have two boxes parallelly together, and right now what's happening, their borders are colliding, right? Isn't that happening, guys? Their borders are interlacing, they are almost colliding with each other. There is no space between consecutive elements. So what are all the properties which we can use to influence this? This is called CSS box model. So space between HTML element and its border, it's called padding space. Okay, what it is called, it's called padding space, a space between HTML element and its border. Between this HTML element and its border, this is called padding space. Am I clear, guys? This is called padding space. So every time you see an element with its nearby border, it's called padding space. And element space between the consecutive element is called margin space. Okay, this one, this gentleman which I'm showing here with the arrow, is called margin space. The space between two consecutive HTML element, it's called margin space. So anyone, can you tell me what I need to increase to avoid this collision between these two elements? What I need to do to increase? Perfect answer, everyone. All of you are right. We need to increase margin. Let's do that. So I will come back and say, hey, please add a margin between each of my boxes. Please add a margin of, let's say, 5 pixels, please. I'm just gonna save this and refresh, and voila, there you go. Superb, guys, superb. Can you see now they are no more colliding with each other? Are you clear what does the margin space does? That's called CSS box model. 100% interview question. Interviewer will give you a paper and pen and ask you to draw CSS box model. You should draw exactly what I've written here in the PPT. Take the printout of this PPT and carry with you in interview, or at least if you have notes which you're writing with your notebook, carry those notes. You will have this CSS box model in it. Very, very helpful, guys, for interview. And now another problem here, you see almost my text which I have inside is touching the border, right? You see the CSSC is almost touching the border. What do I do to avoid touching the border? What do I do to avoid? Yes, perfect answer. We have to add a padding space. So let me add a padding space. I go back and say, hey, can you please go to the box content and add a padding space? I'll just say I want to add a 3 pixel padding, please. Just save this ad and refresh, and wow, there you go. You can see now it's no more touching, no more touching the border at all. Are you guys clear that it's no more touching the border? But now since the padding is added, you see the width of this entire screen element has become little more. Because of padding, the actual width of HTML element increased, right? And that's why there's a mismatch happening. So what you also do is add a padding on the top as well. Yeah, That's also you can do, or you add increase this by 153 pixel width, and then it can align, refresh, and now you see the almost align. Actually it's added more padding, I guess. It adds on individual sides, so it increases little bit more. So I think it's exact 156 it has got it. So 3 pixel left side, 3 pixel right side, it has added the padding left and right. So total 6 pixel were added to the element width, hence it was mismatching with the title, and now we have aligned it again. Next important thing, if you want to give auto padding, suppose I want to bring this element in the center, right, center of the border, you can do auto padding. You can put here a property called text alignment center. That brings a auto padding, and it brings your content always in the center. Wow, beautiful. It does an auto padding text align property, it does an auto padding and brings your content in the center, guys. That's called CSS box model responsive web design. And you see how beautiful earlier it was looking so bad, and now how beautiful it looks. We can also add quickly some more nice styles here. So I want to just change the box content to yellow color in the background. And now I want to change for the this one, uh maybe lime color. Let's save this up and refresh, and you see, wow, it looks so nice. See, HTML was colorless, its life was really not worth it. CSS has brought the life to HTML. Can you imagine what's happening here? Earlier how bad that page was looking, and now see how beautiful our page looks. Thanks all to the CSS to bringing this color to the life of an HTML. Superb, guys. Can you see that? So now time for an exercise. So what you got to do, how did we go green? It's because of this coloring actually. So you see this background color lime, actually this has got it in the green color actually. This is how it has got it green. Lime is green actually. It's not lemon color, it's lime, means it's green color here for the CSS. So let's go ahead and see now an exercise for all of you, which you all have to try now. So what you got to try in the exercise is we have to apply. So place 3 images on the page and bring them in a single line. Try to adjust width and height of image to fit to your page. That's an exercise, guys. What you need to do, you have to bring all 3 images in a same line. So all that what you need to do to put them in a div element, put a class name, put a float property, put a width, height, control. All three will be of course actually different size images, but you got to bring them in a 3 line. It's your choice, you can take any images which you like. Maybe let me upload 3 images here as part of our project, because this project also it's a good point to get started. I already have one image. I'm going to import a couple of more images. So I'm just going to go to my file system, browse the file system, go to my pictures. I'm just going to pick an image. Maybe I'm just going to pick up a logo, um, or maybe just get a SAP Fiori PNG image that I want. So let me just get that. Oops, I can't have a space in the image name, so I just change it. SAP Fiori image I'm importing. Let me also import another image, and I'll just get an image called fighter plane. Just going to get that, and I'm just going to finally get another image. Browse, and just going to get machine learning image. Yeah, that's what I want. So I have added 3 images. You got to bring them in a single line. All three actually have different widths. Yeah, all 3 images actually have different widths, and now you got to first place them up in the page and got to get them. I will just upload this project right after the class into the session. There is a more to CSS. We're going to discuss about that in next session. We're going to align more content and bring more CSS styling to the HTML page. This these things are sufficient enough to proceed. You don't need to go to W3C schools. I'm again repeating, if you practice whatever I'm showing, it's more than sufficient. It's still, it's your choice. You want to try extra more, you can go ahead and do that. Yesterday I was playing with some exercises. I observed that I load jpeg image, it was quick, but when I load png it took time. Yeah, that could be again depend on the size of the image, Vaishali, because sometimes image size is bigger, sometimes smaller. It also depends on the pixels, how big the pixels for the image are. So more bigger the image, more time it takes. Yeah. And also yes, it depends on format, because png format, it takes time. The png format, jpeg takes less time, so that's expected. That's okay, no problem. And we are not going to load images in our UI5 application, because we don't want to make a website here. Again and again I'm repeating, we don't want to make a website. We are not going to become a website developer. We will become a UI5 developer, and foundation for UI5 are these topics. So that's why I'm touching upon these topics. So when I showcase you some flavors in UI5, at that time you will not get confused. Okay. Yes, it is the format. Because of that, it has got the more time and less time. So original image was in which format, and if you try to change its format, and it will definitely take more time. Okay. How to align HTML code. Okay, HTML code alignment is not possible here with Web IDE. So Web IDE does not allow us any option to align the code. What you can do is, which I do as a workaround, I copy the HTML content and I go to a website called HTML alignment. And now I can see some free tool called HTML formatter tool, freeformatter.com. I go inside this free formatter or htmlformatter.com. I paste my complete code here and I say format. And now it does the formatting for us. You see, it has got all the formatting. It pretty understand nicely this whole content, and I copy it back and place it back to my Web IDE. So that's how you see you can format as a workaround. Web IDE does not offer a direct formatting. Okay, so now it's formatted. You can see it's formatted. All the content is formatted. So this is how I do it. You can also copy directly to clipboard directly from here, and then paste it simply over here, and it gets aligned.
Anubhav, I developed this right. I have a few questions.
Yes, please.
Yeah, there is an option type of telephone, right? TEL, right? So it will work in HTML5.
Yes, but it will see these type of elements are just like formatting options, like email. If you writing an email and not putting at the rate of, it's gonna give you validation error. Simply when you're using telephone, if you type a telephone number can never have a character like this, right? So A B C it
Yeah.
doesn't have. So it'll give you an error when somebody try to put a character. But telephone number, however, support plus symbol, +91 like country code, then hyphen, and then you have area code 0124 like this. So likewise this is the format of telephone number. So system will check actually a format, if this is the right format or not. So which means telephone number is how it is different from number, just numbers, because it has these symbols like hyphen, parenthesis and plus symbol, which is extra. If you make it just a number field, what will happen, it will not support this plus country code, area code, those things it won't support. Okay, but it won't
Okay.
let you make a call. You are thinking like Skype, it becomes a Skype call, you can make a Skype call with that. No, that is not the purpose. The type is just to format checking. HTML5 can just do a format check with that. Okay.
Can you just show me a little bit one example? Means, for example, there is a multiple country code, right? So user will choose that from one country code, and then he can
No,
enter the
that
correct
country
one.
code thing you have to create a drop down then. So if you want to do display user country code information, you have to create a drop down. So you can always go to W3C and there you can see how can we, or maybe you want to create a country code, so you just put data list. So there is something called data list.
Ah, okay, okay, okay,
So
okay, okay.
that will create now a kind of a drop down. So you see, this is an example for data list. So where we have a data list here, which has all the browsers names, and you have an input field with the list type as browsers, and it's connecting to this browsers data list, which means all the values which you have here will come up. Let's try it example, and you can directly try it, run it here, and on the right side you can just test it. So you see here you got a drop down. So here likewise you get a drop down where you get the country codes and something like that, and now you can also search internet. So I choose this and submit. So you see browser is internet.
How it is different to select options, Andu?
Select options. So try to understand that every SAP control which you see in ABAP, you can't map them here.
No,
Okay.
no, I'm talking about the HTML select and options for the drop down.
Okay, there is also select option control, you mean to say? Yes, there is also,
Yeah.
maybe let's see here. So in this one, how it is different? Okay, what you can do, it's like an input field also. You can type also. So you see F, I type, it gets me all the content which has F inside. So I can type also, I can choose also. In select option, you can't type. You can't give characters in, you can't type anything here, but you can type here, but there you can't type. Let me show you the example. So I go to select control and I run this. You will not be able to type. See, it's just selection. You have to select a value with the given values. You can't type anything. That's how it is different. We have it also in Fiori. When we go to Fiori, that time I'll explain you Fiori control. We don't need to focus much more advanced on these controls of HTML. They are of no use for us. We don't use them actually in UI5 and Fiori. We use UI5 framework to build our controls. This is the reason why I'm not spent more and more time in all the controls. There is a progress bar, param, picture, a lot of things are there. I didn't focus on them because they are not much necessary. However, for your learning purpose, you can do that, because anytime if you maybe want to work with Google or Yahoo or Microsoft, where they do a lot of website development, that time it may help you. But they also do
Anubhav, can I share my screen? I want to show you something.
regarding.
Yeah, regarding I use the table structure for picture as well as the some of the input fields, right? So if I reduce the size, means for example, different mobile size or different in a desktop, right? In that case, it's not adjusting the, it's not taking the proper alignment. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have to use a CSS style
No,
instead of
table
table
case
tag.
it won't take it, because what happens in table, the table is constructed as a one single unit. The table is
Hmm.
encapsulating everything. You have to, instead of using table now, you should use more and more div tag like we did here. You see, we didn't use table, still it aligns the content. So use div tag with a class name, and then via that you align the element. Let me just show you the
Means we have to
example.
use the CSS style, right? Yeah, the
Yes.
same whatever you've shown
So
today.
don't
I
use
have to use
table.
the same thing.
Use here. Let's say this div element with the ID. Sorry, with the class name as group. I can call it as a group, and each
Hmm.
group then has a div element with its class name as maybe the title element inside,
Hmm.
and then we have an actual input element inside.
Because what I'm trying, for example, if it is a mobile screen, then the
It
picture will
won't
show in the
adapt. Table
middle.
is one logical unit. It won't
Hmm.
adapt. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to do
Hmm.
like this
Okay,
you have
okay,
to put,
okay, fine.
and then apply the style for alignment. Make this element. So I'll just quickly show you since I've already done it. So don't use table in that case. I just showed you to one example for table. Oops, sorry, I just did a mistake. I have by mistake put the personal details in there. This is the one. And now we can align it. So I can say, hey, I will just go back on the top and I'll say, hey, wherever I have a title and an input, please put all the titles with a width as 30 pixels, and please put all the input with the tag name. Now you see guys, though input is also a tag name, but it won't apply the style on those tags because I put a dot here. And I'll say for this also please align the width to 30 pixels. And now just add a float property for the group gentleman. Left. So let's go and check it out now. I just come back on our page and I refresh, and you see how it looks. It doesn't look really so nice because I have also not given a height property here to ensure that I have to have some height of the content. So likewise, you have to adjust your content. It's interlacing actually. Why it's doing that? So just give the entire group width and height also. So you got to come back and adjust like this, you see. And I think 30 pixel is not sufficient for labels. So just make it 80 pixels. And you see it is aligned. And now you want both of them in the same this thing. So you can apply the float property. So you can say, I would like to start the float after title. It's not helping much. So likewise, you have to try out actually. You have to try out using these div elements, the styling, because table is one logical element. It may give you
Yes,
alignment
yes,
for
yes.
desktop based application, but if you want like responsive design, you got to use the div element with class name only. That's the way to apply the styles.
Sure, sure. I will apply that one.
Now, some of you may be thinking, Anubhav, don't you think it's too much to write? Yes, it is. That's the reason we don't write HTML content like this manually. We use ready to use frameworks like Bootstrap framework, which generates this HTML div elements automatically for us, like UI5 framework. You will see in upcoming days the meaning. What am I saying here? Maybe some of you have understood, maybe some of you were not understood. This was a very heavy dose answer, but this is something which we don't write manually. This is generated by frameworks. We use frameworks, and those frameworks generate this div code for us. Okay. Okay, cool. Then that's it for the day. Thank you so much for joining today's class. See you tomorrow at the same time. Have a nice day and goodbye.